Hey everybody, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina Kristina. This is where we read book, talk about books, no special effects here, no theme music, none of that really nice extra special stuff going on here. Just low tech, little old me reading books, talking books. I thought I'd get some mileage out of this shirt. I haven't worn it in years, and I spend the whole time going like this. About 18 years ago, I used to work at JCP, and we had this shirt that had all wires in it, and it had Rudolph on it, and his nose would light up. I don't know what happened to that shirt. I'd like to see it again. I'm also looking for my old icicle shirt. Just you have to look it up like on eBay or something like that. Vintage Angora and icicle, and it'll come up with the blue with the white triangle or the black or the red. Wish I knew what happened to that stuff. I really like that dress. I don't know where it is. I might have gotten rid of it, and I wish I hadn't. I really regret I can't find any of those clothing. But anyways, let's get back on topic here. Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina Kristina. This is where we read book, talk about books, especially series books. I'm a series person. We're doing Star Trek Next Generation on Fridays. We're doing Flashback on Mondays, which nobody's watching. I do a lot of work for that. I would hope you could show up, please. I've also got a Christmas miracle in mind of 1,000 subscribers. I need that miracle. Those of you who have subscribed, I really appreciate it. I need about 900 of you to show up. It would be awesome. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, but I really would appreciate it if y'all could try and help out just a tad. And as you know, we are doing my comfort reading series because I told you I was going to be doing this the whole video. December is hard for me because my relatives have all passed. So I go to my 2 comfort series. We're doing J.D. Robb, my Eve Dallas. I love my Eve Dallas. We Devoted and Obsession and Wonderment are this week. And we're doing my Janet and we're doing my J.P. Beaumont. I need a little comfort, and these are, I don't know why, but they are, especially Janet on the light side. We are doing Fearless 14 today. I am also an audio person. I listen to Susan Erickson for J.D. Robb and Lorelai for Janet. And I love these books, and I cannot share these books with you without reading these books to you because I enjoy them so much and I want to share them with you so much. Stephanie is a bounty hunter. She works for her cousin Vinny, who's the slime ball. Connie Rizzoli is the office manager. Lula is her partner. We don't see too much of her mom, but we do see Grandma. Grandma Mazur is our comedy relief in the book. We see a couple of characters we haven't seen in a while. We also have Joe Morelli is her cop, on again, off again, on again, boyfriend type situation going on there. We also have Ranger, Special Forces. He runs a security company now. He's also her on-again, maybe tempting, maybe if bedroom partner that she feels guilty about, and she has the hots for, and she can't decide between Ranger and Morelli. Morelli's going to be the husband material. Ranger's going to be the dangerous material. Go figure. Then we have some cop friends that show up. And Mooner, we haven't seen him in a while. He's gotten two landfills, whatever. He got some money a few books ago. Unofficially, there's no mention of that. But he also gets some more money in this book, unofficially. But anyways, there she goes. I'm going to make her part of my videos. If you've watched my videos, that clock goes off every single video. Every single one of them. Sometimes it's 1 or 2 bings, and sometimes an extended bing. She still doesn't tell time, but anyway, I'm going to bring her here as soon as I get rid of my Christmas decorations. We'll see what happens. And I only decorate up because of the cats, because I've had a couple of near misses. When my little my little my cardinals. See, the problem is with you guys, with my poor video, you can't see it. So I turn it off. And all my Yankee candles. You burn a Yankee candle, burn it on a candle warmer. Candle warmer is $5, and the candle will last you decades. I've got one over there. I bought it in 2016. It's still going, and I burn it almost every day. So there you go. So, anyways, she's got an FTA with a kid. She convinces the lady to go to take her in, and she's like, but she can't leave her kid. So Stephanie agrees to pick the kid up from school if she's not bonded out by the time the kid gets out of school. Unfortunately, she doesn't own anything. So Stephanie ends up picking the kid up from school, and she spends a day or two in jail. So she goes, picks up, and the kid is Mario, but he goes by a nickname of Zook from his, he's playing one of those online games. So her current car is a Sonata, and this is one book where no car blows up. Is that amazing or what? We actually have a book with no cars blowing up. It's just amazing. Oh my God. So Stephanie is taking care of Zook, and she calls she's involved in something, so she calls Morelli, and he will pick up Zook, and then he takes him to her parents' house. She goes to see Ranger. Ranger calls her. He needs some assistance. He needs a date, not a date like a date, but he needs somebody with him. He is providing security for an older, has-been sort of kind of rock star. And this one is called Brenda. And he's doing it as a favor for the concert promoter. And Brenda is 61 years old, and she has fake nails and wigs and dresses. So then she goes back to the office and gets Zook. Lula's talking marriage, so she's thinking of marriage, and she takes Zook to Morelli. Then she goes home to change, and then she goes to the hotel to meet Ranger for security for Brenda. Brenda is not happy about doing the charity event, and she creates an event or havoc or an uproar or whatever you want to call it, because she's going to an event for the benefit of the humane treatment of animals, and she's wearing a mink coat. Then Morelli calls her because he's been babysitting Zook, and he has spray painted Bob. If you don't know who Bob is the beloved dog we picked up a few books ago, and he provides tons of entertainment. He's a very good dog. Yes, he is. He's cute. He's lovable. So she goes back to Morelli after the thing with Brenda, and she's in the kitchen when someone comes out of Morelli's cellar. I never knew he had a cellar before this book, but obviously he has a cellar. So then she yells. Morelli's like, he can't handle it while the stuff is going on. So then she yells at Zook for painting Bob like a parrot. She goes into the office. Vinny's still out of town. Lula walks in and says she's engaged. Now, it's not fair. Lula really needs to come clean. Eventually things will work it out, but not apparently in this book. So she's telling the office, she's telling Connie and Steph, I caught a flash of red in my peripheral vision and Lula slept through the front door. Her hair was still fire engine red, and her sweater skirt and shoes matched her hair. Speak of the devil, Connie said. I ain't no devil, Lula said. I'm respectable. Mostly I'm an engaged woman. I got a ring and everything. I told you I had a feeling. She held out her hand and we looked at the ring. Wow, that's a big diamond, Connie said. Is it real? Sure it's real, Lula said. I got it in the Diamond District on 8th and Remington. That's the project, Connie said. Yeah, Scotch Brown runs the corner. He said this was a real good ring. He gave me a good price on it. So it was okay with Tank that you bought the ring? Tank's got a really important job, Lula said. He don't necessarily have time to go shopping for shit like this. Does he know he's engaged? Of course he knows, Lula said. It was real romantic, too. He came over, and we always get right to it, if you know what I mean. So we got that out of the way, and then Tank fell asleep, and then I put the ring on. And then when Tank woke up, I told him how happy I was and how he was such a sweetie. And then I celebrated by making him feel good. And after that, he fell asleep. Now, you have to understand that while Tank is a big, huge guy, and that's why his nickname is Tank, he's a little like Trueheart from my J.D. Robb series in the fact that he is socially naive. And he is innocent while he's good with physical relations with women. He's not emotionally adult in those relationships with women. And Lula she rode all over him, and the guy has zero clue, absolute zero clue. He's like, he doesn't remember proposing, he doesn't remember ever thinking of marriage, but Lula's just like, she's just going full steam ahead. She never even stopped to ask the guy if he actually wanted to. She's just going. She just got on that train and she's just going. So we're going to have to deal with that. So meanwhile, Connie says we've got new FTAs. Okay. So Stephanie goes to talk to Dominic Rizzi. Dominic is Loretta's brother, and she wants Dominic to help his sister get bonded out of jail. The lady that we talked about in the beginning of the book, who didn't have money to get herself bonded because she didn't own anything, and she's the one with the kid, with Zook, that they're taking care of. And Dominic, first he says no, but then we'll get to that later. So he first says no. And Dominic accuses Morelli of being Zook's biological father. So that is, I will let that hang out there, and you will have to read the book because it's on the very last page of the book. While I do spoil some parts, I try not to spoil the endings of these books. Although I did it on a J.D. Robb because I just couldn't help it with the Trueheart situation. So he claims that Morelli is Mario, a.k.a. Zook's biological father. He also says he has no money. Then they go after Andy Gimp. They take him to the courthouse, and they go to the bakery to look at wedding cakes. Morelli shows up, and she tells him what Dominic said about him being Mario's biological father. Morelli doesn't think so. He doesn't remember ever being with Loretta, as she is sort of kind of his cousin. So then Stephanie goes to talk to Brenda. and and she goes to do security for Brenda. And while she's there, because Tank is also providing security for Brenda, he's got to talk to somebody. He's going nuts over the situation with Lula. Spending time with Tank was always excruciating because, for the most part, Tank didn't talk. Ranger didn't talk a lot either, but he said a lot with his eyes and his touch. I'd reached a level of comfort with Ranger. Ranger took at ease and in control when he was with me. Tank looked like he wanted to bolt and run. So, I said to Tank, doing some mental knuckle cracking, searching for an icebreaker. Congratulations. What? On your engagement. Oh, geez, Tank said, his upper lip breaking out in a sweat. You know about it? Lula told me. What did she say? Did she say how it happened? You know how I proposed? She said it was very romantic. Tank did a grimace. Listen, can I talk to you real confidential? I mean, Ranger trusts you, and he doesn't trust anyone, so maybe I can trust you too, right? Sure. I don't remember proposing. I guess I was so nervous I blacked out or something. I don't even remember buying the ring. All I remember is I fell asleep, and when I woke up, I was engaged. Lula was wearing the ring, and she was all excited. Oh boy, I guess the important thing is that you're happy about it, I told him. You are happy, aren't you? I don't know. I'm confused. You won't tell Ranger, will you? He will laugh his ass off. Ranger laughs. He laughs on the inside. You're going to have to tell Ranger sooner or later, I said to Tank. Why? Because you'll get married and... Married? We just got engaged. That usually follows by marriage. Tank's eyes were blank and his face went gray under the brown. He staggered back, went down to one knee, and crashed to the floor in a faint. Now, I think it would have been opportunity time, although, all right, she's got the best friend card going there. You don't tell on your best friend, right? You got to keep your best friend's confidences. But I think in this particular case, Stephanie should have fessed up the truth. That Tank didn't buy the ring, that Tank didn't propose, that Lula ran over him. I think Stephanie should have fessed up. But, of course, we've got the best friend card here, and we can't necessarily break the best friend card deal. You know what I'm saying there? She's the best friend, and she's got to keep the best friend confidences. But, considering what we know of Tank, and how, while he may be, military and strong and all this kind of stuff, when it comes to relationships, he's very innocent and very naive. And he also needs to speak up too. But I think Stephanie should have told him the truth. And we will get to, well, maybe not the truth, but we will get to a point, not in this book, because Tank is going to suffer like crazy in this book. The elevators opened and Ranger stepped out and spied Tank stretched out on the carpet. Fainted, I said. Ranger walked to Tank and stood hands on hips staring down at him. Tank doesn't faint. I've been in firefights with him. He's a rock. Well, the rock fainted. Now see, that's the point. He's good in situations that require muscle or guns or brute force. But you put Tank in a romantic and he has no clue. He's naive when it comes to girls. Ranger towed him and Tank moaned a little and opened his eyes. Why did he faint? I can't tell you. Ranger cut his eyes to me. Excuse me? I promised. Ranger gave Tank another nudge with his foot. There she goes again. I do, Tank said. No, wait, I don't. I don't. He shook his head, his vision cleared, and he looked up at Ranger. Crap, You fainted, I told Tank. I did not faint. Tank said, that's a lie. Ranger grabbed Tank by the shirt and pulled him to his feet. No small task since Tank had about 50 pounds on Ranger. Talk, Ranger said to Tank. Tank looked at me. You might as well, I said to Tank. He'll find out anyway. He always does. I'm engaged, Tank said. I guess it's to be married. Ranger didn't move for a beat. Engaged, he finally said, and you think it's to be married. Tank nodded his head. And your fiancé? Lula, Tank said. Ranger rocked back on his heels, grinning. No wonder you fainted. You gotta help me, Tank said. No way I'm getting involved in this. You're on your own. I'm sorry, I have to share these books with you. They're just so funny. They're just so funny. I can't help it. I enjoy them so much. I want you to enjoy them so much. I just do. So, then the stalker shows up. And he's not a real well, he's a stalker, but he's not a real stalker. Brenda's cousin got struck by lightning, and he can see, he has visions, and he wants to warn Brenda that she's gonna be hit by a pizza. And spoiler alert, it comes true, but way down the end of the book. You gotta read it, it's hysterical. So it's just, I want to see if I wrote it down. So Stephanie's got to go to Brenda's got a dress up event, and she has no clothes. Let me see if I wrote that down. Ranger, she's, where is that speech? I didn't write it down. So Ranger tells her that they're going to a formal event that evening, right? And she says, formal? You never told me the dinner was formal. I haven't got anything to wear. He gave me a credit card. Take the corporate card, get whatever you need. Huh? Is it Christmas? My eyes went wide. It's not that easy. Do you have any idea how hard it is to find the right gown? And then I have to accessorize shoes and purse and jewelry. Babe, Ranger said. So, you could go 6 ways to Sunday with that, right? But not Stephanie. It had taken me longer than I would have thought to get clothes for the dinner. I had Ranger's credit card with a limit high enough to buy a house, but I couldn't spend beyond my own comfort zone. And then there were Ranger's rules, which he hadn't articulated, but I knew existed. He'd want me in black, and he'd want me to wear something that would allow me to move about unnoticed. I had done a decent job with the possible exception of the skirt. And lucky for Ranger, I'd run out of time before I got around to accessorizing at Tiffany's. She was wearing a white silk camisole under a short black satin jacket and a simple floor-length skirt with a slit up the front that stopped a couple inches short of slut. Aww. I just like to share. So the stalker is there again. He mentions the pizza. She goes to Morelli's. They have French toast for a meal. Then next day she goes to her parents, and Zook is there, and Grandma's getting into the video games, and she's playing video games with Zook and Mooner. she takes Zooks to school, and then she goes to the office. And Lula talks more wedding. Her mom calls and says there's a man at the house that's looking for her, and it's the stalker. It's just Gary. Suckers aroused. He tells them he was struck by lightning 3 years ago, and he can see people auras. He says Brenda is in danger from a pizza. Her mother's rant. Okay. Now, her mother does this every single book, and it's just funny. When I got back to the kitchen, my mother had this spray bottle of bleach in hand, and she was disinfecting the counters and the stalker's chair. Marion Zajak's daughter doesn't have stalkers. Catherine Bargelow's daughter doesn't have stalkers. Why do I have to be the one with the daughter who has stalkers? Isn't it enough that my mother kills griffers? I mean, what kind of woman kills griffers? Can she go to jail for that? Am I an accomplice? And she's back in the video game. So Lula tells Grandma and Ellen about her engagement. Connie calls Dom bailed Loretta out. He got his mother to put up her house for the bail. Stephanie goes to take Loretta home, and the landlord evicted Loretta. So she goes to stay with Dom. So then she has to go back to the hotel and to do more guarding for Brenda. And they are having trouble. Brenda's having trouble getting her false eyelashes on. So Stephanie helps her put the false eyelashes on. And, it's just, you have to laugh. You just have to laugh. So she put the false eyelashes on to go to the TV interview. And she does the TV interview, and at some point, she wipes like this. And when she wipes like this, she wipes the eyelash off, and it goes flying. And she goes, "What is that?" Brenda's eyes crossed as she focused on the thing on her face, and hysteria jolted her out of her chair. "Spider!" she shrieked, jumping around, slapping at her face. "Spider, spider!" It was the eyelash. It's too funny. You have to read it. So they take Brenda back to the hotel. She goes back to the office. Lula is still talking wedding. Stephanie asks Lula to help with Brenda. They go to the hotel. Tank is a deer in headlights, or maybe a rhino when he sees Lula with Stephanie. Let's see. What did I... Oh, I went too far. Tank almost smiled. He knew Ranger would have a seizure at the thought of Lula working for him. "I dressed in all rangeman colors," Lula said to Tank. "Yeah," Tank said, "you look fine." I've been working on our wedding all day," Lula told him. "I've got the details worked out so you don't have to worry about anything. I know you want the whole big deal with the fireworks and me in a veil and a gown with a long train and all. So I've got it all going, and all you got to do is go for fitting for your tuxedo." The sweat dripping off Tank's chin onto his t-shirt. "Tuxedo? Fireworks? And lots of pigs in a blanket. You know, like pigs in a blanket, right?" "Yeah, then it's all settled," Lula told him. "I've got it covered here," I said to Tank. "Maybe you want to take a break." Lula is just so cruel. She doesn't give the guy a chance. It's just heart-wrenching. Poor Tank. She calls Dom. She gets a phone call from Zook. No one's picked him up from school. She calls Dom. He says she left an hour ago to pick up the kid. She calls Morelli to go get the kid, and they find out that Loretta was abducted a block from the school. Her purse was still in the car, and there was blood found. So that's another mystery. What happened to Loretta? Then they go to Brenda's going to her concert, and they're going to provide security for the concert. And we need space, the anchor said. I'm on it, Lula told her. You people better back up or I'm gonna sit on you. Oops. Did I step on your foot with my high heels? Excuse. I'm sorry, you with my elbow. Coming back, beep, beep, beep. I got a gun. You better listen to me. Do you really have a gun? The anchor asked. Sure, I got a gun. What kind of half-assed security would I be without a gun? Of course, I'm just moonlighting here for a friend. Stephanie and me are mostly bounty hunters, and I sing with a band. You might want to have me on your show sometime. I've got moves. Ranger had me by the back of the jacket. Get her out of here before she tells them she works for me. I'll get Hal to help with Brenda. Ranger's not happy. Um, so uh, then Mark Bird and his producer Jenny Whalen are at the office. They want to film or make a show about the bounty hunter business. And they've got Brenda with them. So they want Brenda and Lula and Stephanie to be Charlie's Angels or whatever they're going to, Brenda's Angels, and do an apprehension. And so they decide to do an apprehension on someone that should be quite easy. Um, uh, what did I say? Oh, Stephanie gives the rules. Uh, Television bounty hunters do that sort of thing, but I'm not a television bounty hunter. I'm a real life bond enforcement agent. So here's how it's going to happen. I'm going to knock on Susan's door and hand her my card and explain who we are. Then I'm going to ask her to come downstairs with us so she can get rebonded. Huh? Lula said. I guess you could do it that way, but it's not gonna get ratings. Humor me, I said. Brenda can go to a studio and do voiceovers and no one will know the difference. That might work, Lula said to Brenda. Freeze, sucker, Brenda said in a couch position, pretending she had a gun. That's pretty good, Lula told her. You could have your own show. You could do CSI Brenda. Uh-huh. So, there's a situation. Uh, Brenda's got a monkey, and they accidentally let him go. And it's hysterical. You've got to check it out. So she talks to Morelli. Stephanie and Lula go talk to Dom's mother's house, and it's empty of people. She goes to the office. Gary the stalker is there. He's had a dream about Brenda sitting on a toilet on the southbound lane of Route 1. Mooner calls her looking for Zook. She tells him he's in school. He's also looking for his computer. He may have left it at Morelli's. Can she let him in? So she lets him in. His computer's there. He sits on the couch to wait for Zook. Bob brings up a shoe from the basement. So Stephanie goes to look, and there's a dead guy in the basement. Come here. What do you want? Come here. Uh, let me review my life, Morelli said. I have crazy Dom shooting at me because he thinks I stole his house out from under him, and I have his nephew living with me. I'm not sure why, except that he looks a little like me, and the kid's mother is missing. And in the last 3 days, I've had my house broken into twice and a guy killed in my basement. Did I miss anything? Does Mooner count? No. Do you suppose there's a connection between all those people? I asked him. Yes, I do. And I think it's all related to the bank job. We know that 4 men participated in the robbery. Dom took the fall, and the other 3 men were never identified, and the money was never recovered. I'm guessing when we dig a little, we'll find Dom knew Alan Griselli, and maybe Griselli was involved in the robbery. It could explain the hole in the head. And maybe the money is hidden in your house. That's a lot of money. They'd hold it out in a van. More likely a key or clue to location is in the house. We need to comb through the house. So Stephanie goes to pick up Duke. He's worried about his mom. She stops in the way at the deli, and the lady in the deli says that she heard about the dead guy. That was Alan Griselli, and she tells us he was dating Loretta, and Stephanie's like, "Oh, there you go, light bulb moment." So now they know who the situation is. Connie calls. The film crew is back. They want come here, come here, come here, come here. You're gonna drive me crazy. Come here. So the film crew is back. They want to do another bounty apprehension. She's walking all over here. She's got me crazy. So she tells them about Loretta and how they are going to look for her at the supposed boyfriend's house. And the dead guy in the basement is Alan Griselli. So they go to the house, open the front door, and 3 men and a woman are having an argument in the house. So they look for Kelly's car in Morelli's neighborhood. They find it with a briefcase. They open the case, and there's one of those. You've heard about those booby traps that banks sometimes put in money that's been robbed or something. One of those blue dye things. So Stephanie walks around blue for a couple of days. So then Grandma calls, and they've made the news. You know. My cell phone rang. It was Grandma Missouri, and she was excited. I just saw you on television. You were on the early evening news. They were doing a report on the murder in Morelli's basement, and they said it was believed it was tied to the bank robbery that happened years ago. And then there was this part where Brenda found a briefcase in the dead man's car, and it had directions about where the money was buried. And some lady said she was pretty sure Dominic Rizzi gave the money to his Aunt Rose, and Aunt Rose hid it somewhere before she died. Just think, Morelli could have hidden treasure in his backyard. And that starts everybody and anybody digging in Morelli's backyard. Tons of people, and Morelli's like, you gotta get out of here, sprays the hose on him. It gets worse after that. Brenda wants to do more bounty hunter stuff. She goes to Stephanie goes to Dom's ex-wife and learns who his friends are, so she goes checks all the friends out. She goes to Jelly's house. She finds the key. She goes in. While she's there, 2 men have a fight. And those are one of the 2 partners, but she can't see them because she's hiding under the bed. She goes back to Morelli, and they're still searching the basement, and they haven't found any money in the basement. So she was stalking out Jelly's apartment and she had to use the restroom. So she decided, screw it, she was going to go in Jelly's apartment. And while she's in the restroom, somebody decides to blow up Jelly's apartment. That'll teach you to use the restroom. So then she has a conversation with Ranger. I wanted information on Stanley Zero, and Connie only worked a half day on Saturday. Babe, Ranger said, I need information on Stanley Zero, place of residence, car, anything personal like friends, wife, whatever. How do you want it? Can I email it to you? No, I'm at Morelli's. I don't have my computer. I can send it to Morelli. That would work. How's Tank doing? He's distracted. Why doesn't he just break it off? The man is confused, Ranger said. Sometimes it's difficult to tell what you want to do with a woman. Are you speaking about yourself? No, I know exactly what I want to do. I knew what he wanted to do too. Is there anything else you need from me? Ranger said. Not right now. Ranger, there will come a time, Ranger said. So, then she finds out about the partners, and there's a special report from Brenda. She's got a crew digging in Morelli's backyard. It's always fun. Let's see. This is supposed to. The phone rang at 2 in the morning. Morelli came awake first, a bare arm reaching across me to get at the bedside phone. Not the first time he'd gotten a call in the middle of the night. Yeah, he said. There was a short conversation and Morelli hung up and flopped back onto his side of the bed. You're not going to believe this, he said. On second thought, it makes perfect sense. That was your friend and mine, super cop Carl Costanza. He's working a shift with Big Dog, and they got a report that there were lights in the cemetery. Turns out it was a bunch of people who all got the idea to dig up his Aunt Rose. And one of those people was Grandma Missouri. Is she in jail? No. Everyone ran away, but Carl and Big Dog drove up. But your grandmother recognized Carl and told him she needed a ride home. Oh my God. Yeah, Carl said they're bringing her here. She didn't want to get dropped off at your parents' house in a police car. People would talk. Are you back again? What's up? What's up? Come here. What? What? There's a cat on Facebook that'd put you to shame. She talks all the time. Morelli drove the short distance and parked in front of my parents' house. We watched Grandma sneak in, and we waited a couple minutes to make sure she didn't sneak back out. You should snap me up, Morelli said. Not many men would marry you after meeting your grandmother. You're lucky to have me. I looked over at him. Is that a proposal? There was total silence for a couple of beats. I'm not sure, it just popped out. Let me know when you're sure. Would you say yes? Morelli asked. I'm not sure. I bet I could convince you it would be a good thing, Morelli said. How about a look at my assets? Oh, good grief. You know, you gotta see Miss Cute over here. You see Miss Cute over here? I bet you'd rather look at her than me. And when she does that, if she washes her face enough times. Then she gets her paw under a collar, and her collar goes flying across the room. She's a mush. On her terms. She's not the emotional support cat I've talked about previously. She's a, you can hug me when I want to be hugged. You can play with me when I want to play. I'm on the lookout for an emotional support cat. The kind that will let you hug them when you want. That will come to you when you want. But she's got that collar trick down pat. Absolutely. You let her get away with it. So someone breaks into Morelli's house. They leave a brick. Lula talks about wedding gowns. They get a box with Loretta's toes in it. So I don't think Stephanie tries to talk to Lula about marriage, and I don't want to spoil the rest of the book for you, but it's really good. Some of the conversations are really good, but it's Fearless 14 or the audiobook to find out who the four partners are, who's the ones threatening, sending the messages, the warnings, who's the one that's slicing off Loretta's toes, what's going on with Zook, who his real father is. You have to check it out. Please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you.